Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Welcome to Rogers Center. The Chicago White Sox are in town. Chicago in first place in the Central, 13-6. They have a half-game lead over the World Series champion Kansas City Royals. Robin Ventura is in his 5th season managing the White Sox. He was a long-time All-Star player and a Gold Glove third baseman for the White Sox. Now he's the skipper, and he's off to a great start this season. Let's take a look at the lineup. 13-6, as we mentioned. Jose Abreu, he's got good numbers against the Blue Jays. He's hit 3 career home runs in this ballpark. He's got a .362 average against the Jays. He's in the 3rd spot playing at first base. And the former Blue Jay, Brett Lawrie, is hot. He's got a 5-game hit streak. 6 for 18 with 3 doubles and 4 RBIs for the season. Laurie's hitting at .299. Happy to see some of his former teammates today.
And here's a former teammate of Brett Lawrie and Deanna Navarro. Marcus Stroman gets ready. He last worked 6 days ago. That was that win against the Baltimore Orioles. 7-0 and 8 starts since last season for Marcus. He has averaged 7 innings pitched this season. That's how good he has been, pitching deep into the ballgame. And he has faced the White Sox in his career, although it was a couple of seasons ago. Twice he had a real good outing and a very rough outing, just 2/3 of an innings against the White Sox. The Blue Jays are 3-1 this season in Marcus's 4 starts.
So Stroman is set. Leadoff man Adam Eaton steps in. There are only 3 batters in this lineup that have faced Stroman in the past. Eaton's one of theirs, and there's the first pitch of the game in there for a strike. Eaton is 0 for 3 against Marcus Stroman. White Sox are hot. They've won 3 in a row. They swept the Texas Rangers over the weekend. That's a base hit through the left side of the infield. Leadoff single. Another ball on the ground. That's going to be a theme with Marcus Stroman pitching tonight. He has really done a great job of keeping the ball on the ground. Michael Saunders back in the lineup. He hasn't played since Baltimore. Ezequiel Carrera slides over and plays center. Jose Bautista's in right. Josh Donaldson's a DH tonight, so Darwin Barney gets another start at third base, his 4th. Tulowitzki goes up the middle, and Encarnacion starts for the 5th time at first, and Josh Thole back-to-back starts behind the plate. There's another bouncing ball through the right side. Bautista's going to come up throwing. Here's the throw to third. It is not in time, and Jimmy Rollins goes into second. Back-to-back ground ball singles here in the first.
Well, Buck, you said this team comes in here, the White Sox, very hot, built on their pitching staff. Their staff has been outstanding so far, but they can hit a little bit. Maybe not a lot of power. Here are 2 ground balls, one by Eaton that finds a hole on the left side, and now Jimmy Rollins with a base hit on the right side. Really no chance to get him over at third base. Bautista overthrows the cutoff man and takes the double play out of order with Jimmy Rollins a heads-up base running, reading that throw from Bautista.
So the veteran Jimmy Rollins ends up at second. Second and third, nobody out. Stroman in a 1st inning jam. He'll deal to Jose Abreu. Abreu off to a slow start, batting .183 for the season. Well, we mentioned his good numbers against the Blue Jays for his career. He's a career .362 hitter.
He is also a very good low ball hitter. Abreu, that's where most of his hits come from. You're going to have to get the ball up. You're going to have to pound him up and in. Marcus Stroman is a ground ball type of pitcher who uses that sinker to his advantage. That might play right into Abreu.
Stroman's ahead. Breaking ball down and away. Marcus Stroman. He'll turn 25 on the 1st of May. Came up the big leagues for the first time in 2014. Won 11 games that season, made 20 starts. Ground ball. Tulowitzki's got Rollins hung up, but he'll go to first to take the out. Eaton comes in to score, and the White Sox have taken a 1-0 lead. 3 ground balls already from Stroman, and Abreu picks up the RBI. That's RBI number 9 for the first baseman.
You know, you can't guide it. He's made a couple of good pitches. They found a couple of holes, and they find themselves down by one. You see Abreu shaking his hand right there like he got jammed on that fastball. Looked like Tulowitzki had a shot, just a shot to get Rollins at second base, but he wasn't going to take any chances.
Early in the game, he took the sure out at first, 1 out. This is Todd Frazier in his first season with the White Sox. Frazier, an all-star with Cincinnati, first-round pick in 2007.
He brings some defense that was really lacking with this team last year. Remember, they've got a lot of left-handed starters in that rotation, and they have plenty of errors for third baseman. But this guy, he's a great player. Add to that he hit 35 bombs last year.
At 35 last year, hit 29 in 2014. So in that ballpark in Chicago, it's a very hitter-friendly ballpark.
Yeah, I thought they stole this guy from the Cincinnati Reds.
Another ground ball. That's a foul ball just outside of third. Stroman's got the sinker working early, that's for sure. This is his third career start against Chicago.
He had a real good one against them. Again, this was 2 years ago. He also had the shortest start of his career against the White Sox, if you remember that, back at U.S. Cellular, when they only lasted 2/3 of an inning.
Trying to get that swing back fastball, but got underneath it, missed away. It's 2-2 to Todd Frazier. Marcus has given up a run here in the first inning. It's the first time this season he's allowed a first inning run. Straight changeup just off the plate inside. Former Blue Jay Melky Cabrera is on deck. There's just 1 out. Brett Lawrie is after Cabrera. A couple of former Blue Jays. Ball 4. Stroman walks Frazier. Still just 1 out, but that might have been semi-intentional as he had a base open.
Yanked that pitch out of the strike zone. You see him right now. He's just trying to find himself on that mound. Surprised he didn't throw him a breaking ball there at some point with 2 strikes.
Melky Cabrera is the batter. Melky played with the Blue Jays in 2013 and 2014. Played 227 games in a Jays uniform. Melky's been around. He signed with the Yankees in 2001. Spent parts of 5 seasons in New York.
When he went to the White Sox last year, got off to a brutal start. And this guy's a good hitter. He's been a good hitter for a long time. Now this season they've dropped him down because they need some RBIs, and they have him in that RBI position of the batting order. So if he gets hot, he's going to be driving in some runs for Robin Ventura's team.
Well, Ventura's ball club has improved dramatically with the defense and pitching. Now they're waiting for the hitting to come around. There's a strike. 1-1 to Melky Cabrera. Melky's now 31 years old. Upstairs. One ground ball right here, get him out of a jam. Eaton started it off with a single on left. Rollins followed suit with a single to right. You could hear Dan Iasonia, the home plate umpire, call that ball down.
Pretty good take right there from Cabrera. He's always had a really good eye at the plate. In these situations, he'll look to drive something into the outfield. And to do that, you got to get the ball up.
3-2.
3-2. You saw Brett Lawrie on deck. Blue Jays would like to leave him on deck. Get a ground ball, double play, and get out of this inning. Line drive caught by Encarnacion, and he can't get back in time to get Frazier. Good job by Edwin. He speared that line drive, and then he scrambled trying to get Frazier, but Todd was back in time ahead of Encarnacion.
Might have been better off just firing the ball to second base because Jimmy Rollins had gotten a little bit too far from the bag at second base, and Tulowitzki was coming up behind him. There's Tulowitzki behind him. Line drive spears it, but he looked at Frazier right away.
So the former Blue Jay Brett Lawrie will bat with 2 on and 2 outs. Lawrie made his debut with the Blue Jays in 2011. That's a strike. It gets away from Josh Thole. Thole filling in again for Russell Martin, who's dealing with that stiff neck, and Josh didn't catch Stroman in spring training except in a minor league game on the back fields.
And with Dickey tomorrow, Russell gets tonight and tomorrow off, which should be enough for him, though.
Well, Josh is catching in back-to-back starts for the first time since May of 2014. He is the knuckleball catcher, of course, but now with Martin dinged up a little bit, he's gotten the call. Looked like a pretty good pitch. Stroman's thrown everything down, and then he threw that ball top of the strike zone, didn't get the call.
Well, you got to stay with Marcus Stroman because his ball moves so much. If you take a look at pitch tracker, it looked like it got right at the top of the strike zone.
Boy, that was a wicked sinker. White Sox have scored a run on 2 hits. Jimmy Rollins is at second. He singled. Todd Frazier at first. He walked. Full count. Now the runners will be off on the pitch. The infielders reminding one another their best option is to go to first. Avisail Garcia is on deck. Stroman has the sign. There go the runners. Lawrie bounces it foul. Stroman can certainly win this battle, even though he's given up a run, if he minimizes the damage. Just a single run. Ground ball. Barney will go across the diamond in a hurry, and Stroman does that. The White Sox score 1 run on 2 hits, but they strand a pair. We'll go to the bottom of the first. first inning. The Blue Jays have scored 5 or more runs in 3 straight games. They won 2 of 3 against Oakland, trying to make it 3 in a row here tonight against Chicago. Blue Jays are in second place in the AL East. His record is even at 10-10. Josh Donaldson is the DH tonight. Look what he did against Chicago last year. He had 12 hits, 6 of those were home runs, and he drove in 11. He had a big series against them in May right here at Rogers Center. Brian Goins, his career numbers against the starter Miguel Gonzalez are good. He's 5 for 16 with a double, a triple, and an RBI. So he's trying to get going. He was 0 for 8 in that series against Oakland.
And a bunch of those home runs by Josh Donaldson were big home runs to help beat the White Sox last year. This is Miguel Gonzalez, who makes his White Sox debut and comes up from AAA to push the other starters back a day, much like what the Blue Jays did yesterday with Drew Hutchison. The Blue Jays are all familiar with this guy. He was signed on April the 3rd after the Baltimore Orioles released him, and he is making his 14th appearance, 13th start against Toronto after pitching for the Orioles.
He has held the Blue Jays to a .201 batting average, and look at Brett Lawrie. He's taking the bunt out of the picture for Ezekiel Carrera.
That's Todd Frazier.
Excuse me, I said Lawrie. Of course, that's Todd Frazier.
I thought of the same thing, but Frazier making like Pete Rose from back in the day, taking that bunt away from Carrera.
Bouncing ball, Abreu will flip to Gonzalez, and Carrera's retired. So let's take a look at the White Sox defense. This might be the most improved aspect of their play so far this season. They have really tightened up the defense. In the outfield, Melky Cabrera's had left. Austin Jackson has really made a difference in center because he's pushed Adam Eaton over to right. Todd Frazier, what a player he has been at third base. The veteran Jimmy Rollins up the middle, teaming up with Brett Lawrie. Jose Abreu moves around well over at first, and former Blue Jay Deanna Navarro back behind the plate.
Improvement on the left side of the infield, improvement behind the plate, also in game calling. That's Deanna Navarro, whose catcher's earned run average is just .225. He has made a difference with this pitching staff. The White Sox pitchers have been raving about his pitch calling and his ability to read bats, and you start looking at those numbers then. He's always had a great reputation as a great game caller, and he's doing it again.
We saw that firsthand while he was with the Blue Jays. Josh Donaldson takes a ball. It's 1-1 to the DH. Donaldson DHing tonight. He's a little bit dinged up, according to the manager. He got hit by a pitch in the Oakland series from his former teammate, Liam Hendricks. Remember, early on he was the DH because he had a calf injury. And I don't know that that's really 100% just yet.
Gibby was asked that today, and he said it's not really the calf injury that's making him DH. It's really where he got hit by that Hendricks pitch that it's numbed up that leg.
Fly ball deep to right. Eaton on the run. Get up off the wall. Donaldson is headed towards second, and he'll get there with a one-out double. Josh Donaldson, boy, since he's come to Rogers Center, he hits them from ball pole to foul pole.
And he just missed home run number 8 by just a couple of inches. Miguel Gonzalez will give up his share of home runs. This ball is up, and Donaldson swings, and it's a long fly ball. Eaton thinks he has it tracked, but you can see from that replay it's just a couple of inches right off the top of the wall. Look at that. It could have bounced over. But Donaldson still not running 100%, makes it to second base for Bautista.
Jose Bautista had a rough series against Oakland, just 1 for 10, but he had a home run and drove in 5. He's a run producer. We'll take 1 for 10, drive in 5 every series.
The top of the order has gotten on base a lot for him. He's scored a couple of runs on sacrifice flies. He scored a run on a ground out, and then you mentioned that home run yesterday, which looked like vintage Bautista to left field.
Jose has never had an RBI against Miguel Gonzalez. Never hit a home run, doesn't have an RBI. As we mentioned, Gonzalez has been tough on the Blue Jays lineup. 2-0. Bautista takes that strike outside.
That's one thing. He is a strike thrower, though. Miguel Gonzalez is going to be around the plate. He's going to work you all parts of the strike zone. You know, one thing that we can watch tonight as he tries to work against the Blue Jays lineup, will he change speeds? I think he's going to have to change speeds against the Jays. He's got a good breaking ball.
3-1. Ball 4. So Bautista takes another walk. That's his 18th walk of the season. First and second, 1 out. And Miguel Gonzalez, as we mentioned, he has had the Blue Jays number. This is his 13th career start over his last 10 starts. Pretty impressive line.
A winning record at 6-2, a very good earned run average, and a good batting average against at 187. Blue Jays reached him last September, if you remember, for 3 runs on 4 hits with 3 walks over just 3 2/3 innings. That was in Baltimore. Again, he's going to be around the plate. And if you end up walking, there's a reason for it. He didn't want to pitch to Jose.
Gonzalez has handled Edwin Encarnacion. He only has 3 hits in 25 at-bats. But the caveat on that is all 3 hits left the yard. 3 home runs.
He will give up his share of home runs. He's not overpowering. He's got to hit his spots to be successful.
Swing and a drive deep to center field. Austin Jackson looking up. Ball is off the wall. 2 runs are going to come in to score, and just like that, the Blue Jays have the lead.
And who else with the middle of the lineup? We talked in the opening about the lineup getting a little bit more length to it because the bottom of the order is starting to swing it. But here in the first inning, Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion so far accounting for 2 of the runs. Remember I told you he has to hit his spot? Well, Diana Navarro was set up way inside, wanting that ball up and in, and it's right down Broadway. And that ball is hit hard, and again, just off the top of the wall for a 2-run double for Edwin.
Bautista did a terrific job running the bases there. That ball hit off the wall, and he was right in the back pocket of Josh Donaldson.
Watch Diana Navarro one more time against Encarnacion. He wants the ball in. Give it to me right here, and it's right down the middle. The reaction from Navarro, I think, told it all.
Troy Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki went 3 for 7 against Oakland. He had the first game off. Hit a couple of home runs in that series. See, Drew Hutchison, he's still here with the Blue Jays. He was the starter in yesterday's game, picked up the win. Tulo goes after that high pitch. Tulowitzki had a pair of home runs on Saturday. One off Chris Bassett, one off Liam Hendricks. He had a 3 for 4 day.
Wasn't missing his pitch. Pitches that were up, and he hit them hard, and he stayed in the middle of the diamond.
Outside, according to the home plate umpire. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Chicago had a 1-0 lead. That evaporated. 4 batters into the Blue Jays lineup. It's going to reach the seats out of play.
Well, one thing we know about Diana Navarro as a catcher, he's going to utilize that fastball. We saw that over the last couple of years when he was a member of the Blue Jays, that he's going to use it and they're going to elevate it. Right now, Miguel Gonzalez doesn't have enough fastball to get it by the Blue Jays. He's trying to cut his fastball inside and outside to these right-handed batters. But again, he's going to have to keep the ball down if he's going to throw his fastball, or throw it off the plate inside, push him back off the plate.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Inside. Tulowitzki's seen 6 pitches. Michael Saunders back in the lineup. First game for Saunders since the Baltimore series. He missed all 3 games of the Oakland series.
He said, my boys are hitting, I got to get back in there. Right? John Gibbons said, I didn't want him to get too stale sitting on that bench, so I got to get him back in there.
Popped up over near the seats. Frazier will watch it sail out of play. An extended at bat for Tulowitzki. Getting a good gauge on Gonzalez.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know what that means? That he's going to see all of those pitches. And if he makes a mistake, Troy's going to have a nice little memory of what all those pitches look like.
Got inside a little bit as he pitched number 8 off the plate. Too close to take. 3-2. Just missing that pitch.
That was his pitch right there. Pitch number 9. It looked like a sinker down and in. And everybody's been wondering, well, why aren't the Blue Jays hitting? Why are they having problems? Because when they get their pitch, they're missing it. When certain guys are not swinging the bat the way they're capable of doing, you'll get your one pitch. You better hit it hard somewhere.
Hitters go through hot and cold spells, and right now some of the guys are getting pitches, hittable pitches, but you see that last pitch was basically the only real good pitch he had to hit in this at bat.
Everything was around the strike zone, but that one was down and in.
No, come on, man.
Tulowitzki not happy with that called strike 3. Dan Isonia calls him out on that fastball, looking down and away.
Pitch number 10 of that at bat. Inside, inside, inside. And we told you Navarro likes to utilize that fastball. Might have snuck up on Troy just a little bit as he paints it on the outside corner. Tulowitzki thought it was low and outside.
Two down now for Michael Saunders. Saunders has done a good job since taking over in that leadoff spot. Tonight he drops down into the 6th spot in the lineup with Carrera getting this start, top of the order. Ball and a strike to the Blue Jays left fielder.
He was playing pepper the early parts of batting practice with the left fielder. And this is a perfect time to try and do it again. They've got basically one infielder on the left side of the infield. And he can just shoot that ball over there and get himself an RBI single.
Gonzalez ahead 1-2. And Saunders moved into that leadoff spot for 5 games. He hit .381. He was 8 for 21. And he got on base at a .458 clip. Sonia has shown that he's going to call that low strike and not give you the high one.
Marcus Stroman threw a couple of pitches up there in the top of this inning. He didn't get it. And a couple of pitches this inning have been up there and he hasn't called them.
Breaking ball. Navarro holds on to the foul tip, but the Blue Jays erase a 1-0 deficit in a hurry. Josh Donaldson hits a double off the top of the wall in right. His 7th double of the season. Just missing a home run, and then Edwin Encarnacion with 2 aboard. He goes deep off the wall in center. 2-1 Blue Jays.
This Marcus Stroman start is brought to you by BioSteel Sports Nutrition, the natural choice for everyday performance. Drink the pink.
Blue Jays have done a great job of bringing the crowds into this ballpark early on. Their attendance is up over last year. They had a sellout crowd here on Sunday as well as Saturday. Abisail Garcia, the DH. He was with the Tigers, and everybody thought he was going to be a fixture there in Detroit for a long time. But he was part of a 3-team trade in 2013.
He has as much talent as anybody. He can run a little bit. He can hit for power. He's got a good arm. Right now, since they picked up Austin Jackson, he doesn't have a position.
When he first came up with Detroit, I mean, he was a mirror image of Miguel Cabrera. Everybody thought this is going to be a terrific hitter, play in the outfield. Had a good year last year, 13 home runs, 59 RBIs, and played in a career high 148 games. He's just 24 years old. Certainly a lot of time for him to put it together.
Ball outside.
Pretty good looking pitch.
That one was better than the one that was called a strike. Robin Ventura was saying, hey, you know, I'm going to find my spots for Garcia to start. I don't want him rotting on the bench. I'm going to get him in there as much as I can, but our better team, our better defensive team is with Eaton and Wright.
Bouncing ball up the middle. Goins from behind second. Dug out by Encarnacion. Once again, the Blue Jays flashing the leather early on. He'll get a couple of red stars on that play.
Well, Marcus Stroman has thrown the most ground balls in the major leagues, so you better be on your toes if you're an infielder. A couple of them squeaked through in the first inning. This time Goins says not so fast. A good catch, a low throw, and Edwin did a perfect job down there. He went down and he stayed down, and the glove went down and then out and up Watch the glove. Down, out, up, and he picks it to save a base runner.
Good play on both ends for Encarnacion. This is just his 5th start of the season at first base. Here is Deanna Navarro, switch hitting catcher. Navarro's had quite a year, quite a career actually. Started with the Yankees, signed as a amateur free agent in 2000. Good breaking ball. First strikeout of the ball game for Marcus Stroman.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by Rogers 4K TV. Get closer to the action with 4 times the resolution of HD alone.
Marcus Stroman, 2 outs. Number 9 hitter is Austin Jackson. Jackson, like Yana Navarro, began his career with the Yankees, an 8th round pick of New York in 2005. That's a pretty good pitch. Stroman's making some good pitches, not getting the calls.
It's not up and it's not down. That one looked like it might have been on the corner, but it's called down.
Stroman and Sanchez, 2 young starters in this rotation, both have a feel for making adjustments according to the umpire. It's really unusual with young pitchers. Marcus Stroman, after his club scored 2, retires the side in order in the top of the 2nd.
As Buck pointed out, Drew Hutchison is still here in a Blue Jays uniform, and it may seem a little odd because his next start is going to come in AAA Buffalo, and the Blue Jays could definitely need an extra body. But here is the reason to that. Because Hutchison has at least 3 years experience in the league, before he can be sent down to Buffalo, he has to pass through something called optional waivers. He will be made available to all the teams in the league, but it is one of those kind of wink and nod agreements that all teams have where they will not pick him up. If somebody does do it, the Blue Jays also have the option to bring him back off of waivers. So this waiver period will pass by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. He will go down to Buffalo. The Blue Jays will call up a replacement. But for now, he'll have at least 1 more night to sit and enjoy the big league team in the uniform. Buck?
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. It gives us a little more insight as to why the Blue Jays are basically playing a little short tonight. Drew Hutchison could not be optioned back to the minor leagues, and he'll pass through that waiver period tomorrow at 1. Brian Goins, we mentioned his 0 for 8 in the A's series, but he's got good numbers against the starter for Chicago tonight, Miguel Gonzalez. He's 5 for 16. Nice play by Abreu. We mentioned he's a lot more than just a big slugger over at first. He moves around very well.
I'll tell you, Ryan Goins has been hitting into a lot of bad luck, hasn't he? He's hit a lot of balls hard, and great defensive plays have taken base hits away from him. That time it was Abreu taking a base hit away from him. Keep swinging it, Ryan.
Yeah, and you know what? Ryan has had a couple of hard outs every single game, it seems like.
They will start to fall.
You didn't believe that when you played.
Heck no. People would say, oh, they all even out. Yeah,
hey, you
right.
hit it good, huh?
Yeah,
that's the last thing you want to hear. Hey, hey, man, you really hit that one good.
Yeah, so what? You know, give me a hit. It doesn't matter, does it?
Darwin Barney, he had quite a series against Oakland. He homered on Friday night against Sonny Gray. His first home run of the season. For the series, he went 4 for 7, drove in 3 runs.
He's filling in tonight for Josh Donaldson. He had a lot of nice things to say about Donaldson after the ball game, saying that Josh makes everybody around you better. Okay, he pushes everybody. I mean, everybody on the team to make you a better player. Even Josh pushing Barney, making him better. Darwin's had a good start to his season.
You know what? And that's true. And Donaldson talks about the influence Tulowitzki's had on him. And Tulowitzki's had a positive impact on Goins. And Barney's had an impact as an extra player. He talks to a lot of guys about hitting, talks to guys about fielding. He's a very observant player. He strikes out. 2 down here in the second. 3 strikeouts for Gonzalez.
High breaking ball. That looks very inviting off of Miguel Gonzalez. Backs up just a little bit, and Darwin comes up empty.
Josh Thole, the catcher. Thole has a double against Miguel Gonzalez. He's only had 4 at-bats against the righty. Ball in the strike.
An extended chance to play now for Josh Thole over the next couple of days. Filling in for Russell, and then with the knuckleballer going.
That's a Martin dealing with a stiff neck. You can see how he kind of peeked around his neck right there. Still bothering him. He hasn't been able to shake it. Josh rips it into center. Jacks it over to cut it off. A 2-out single, and that'll turn the lineup over.
Boy, that was as hard a hit ball as we've seen Thole hit it. Go down and get it. That ball is laced to center field. Almost hits the umpire. He'll have to duck out of the way.
Back to the top of the order. Ezequiel Carrera grounded out to the first baseman his first time up. Todd Frazier continues to play in on the grass. Now he backs up a couple of steps at third base, even with the bag. Normally in a situation like this with 2 outs, you'd say, don't bunt, try to hit a double. But when you got Josh Donaldson hitting behind you, do whatever you can to get on base. Bring him to the plate with a couple of boards.
And that's a great point. All you have to do is look out where the second baseman is playing, Brett Lord. He is playing very deep at second. If you could bunt a ball and just get it by the pitcher, it's an infield hit. And it's an easy infield hit. You're not going to do it now with 2 strikes. And that's a great point. Thinking about who's hitting behind you.
Laurie right at the edge of the grass, handles it, goes to first. The inning is over. Blue Jays strand the base runner, will go to the third. Jays lead it 2-1 over the White Sox.
Blue Jays Flyaway contest is now on. Enter for your chance to cheer on the Blue Jays in Boston with WestJet. Go to bluejays.com/WestJet Flyaway to enter. Buck, a great city and an even better ballpark.
Absolutely. Great opportunity to go to Boston, see the Blue Jays next time they go to Fenway Park, and it is a great atmosphere. Stay downtown, you can walk to the ballpark, and once you get in the neighborhood, it's a terrific atmosphere. Fans get there early. Broadcasters get there early. We like it.
Red Sox had a late night last night, didn't they?
Wow.
Woohoo! 5-hour ball game. Ended at 1 o'clock in the morning. They had to get on a plane to go to Atlanta.
Greg Kimbrell blew the save in the ninth. Top of the order, Adam Eaton goes after the first pitch. Eaton bounced the ball through the left side of the infield his first time up. Came around to score on a ground ball off the bat of Jose Abreu. Ball explode on the inside corner.
That looked like it might have been his cutter. He's got so many different pitches, and that's why you'll see Josh Toller go through a whole host of signs. That looked like the cutter, and it had late break and got underneath that bat.
Breaking ball inside.
See what I mean? You need more than 5 fingers down there to put down as many pitches as Marcus has.
Well, we mentioned Stroman has such a feel for the batters. He can really see what the batters are trying to do, what part of the plate they're trying to cover. Foley wants to change up and now trying to offer those pitches, and they'll go away. Elevated the fastball for the strikeout. That's 3 in a row for Stroman.
Talking about having a feel for pitching, breaking ball inside, cutter, curveball inside, maybe a changeup, and then you can go up and away. And we showed you him going through all those signs. I mean, he knew what he wanted to do, and he shook to the sign eventually that he wanted fastball up and away to pick up that 3rd strikeout.
Jimmy Rollins singled his first time up. Jimmy Rollins spent 15 years with the Philadelphia Phillies. 4-time Gold Glove winner. He was the National League MVP in 2007 when he played 162 games. He had 716 at bats. 700 at bats.
I wonder how many plate appearances he had if he got that many at bats, because you got to figure some walks and some sacrifice flies thrown in there.
Whew. 2-1. Big bounce ball to second.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
Great opportunity to pick up all sorts of merchandise here at the Jays shop at Rogers Center. 2 outs, and Stroman, he has found his groove. He has retired 7 straight. Abreu has the White Sox RBI. He grounded out to shortstop, and Adam Eaton came in to score. Bouncing ball, Goins from the shortstop side of second. What a play! Oh man! Nobody in the American League has the range of Ryan Goins. A former shortstop has the arm to make those plays from the left side of the infield. This time running away from first. He gets a little help over at first with Encarnacion. Great play.
The Blue Jays and Honda are celebrating Throwback Thursdays on Thursday, May the 5th. The first 15,000 fans will receive this great Blue Jays ALDS Game 5 t-shirt. It's the Blue Jays and Rangers at 7:07. Go to BlueJays.com for tickets.
Great opportunity to pick up that t-shirt that brings back great memories of lost postseason. Josh Donaldson will lead things off for the Blue Jays in the bottom of the 3rd. Donaldson doubled off the top of the fence in right field his first time up. He's now collected hits in 18 of 21 games this season. Donaldson with that double moves to the top of the league in total bases. He has 55 total bases. He and Manny Machado were tied at the start of this game. Donaldson has extra base hits as well.
He had a big day yesterday. And he was so excited about being able to catch the first pitch from his mom and pick up his hardware before the game, and then he got a double in the game yesterday. He was saying it's a good moment for him, and of course he had to take some time to kind of knock on me just a little bit, saying, how come I never get talked about as one of the best players in all of baseball? And I'm saying, from who? Not from us. Well, I'm going to put you in the best players in baseball, Josh. You can bring it, my friend. You got it all.
He leads the league with 15 extra base hits. It's a nasty changeup, down and in. Swings over the top of it. 4 strikeouts now for Gonzalez.
He would split his fingers on his changeup to try and get some tumbling action. And he's got a good one tonight. We've seen a lot of them just drop right off of the table. 4 strikeouts for Miguel Gonzalez.
Jose Bautista batting with 1 out. Jose walked in the first and scored a run. His walk is his 18th of the season. Bautista has reached base in all but 1 game this year. Jose's got 16 RBIs. The Blue Jays are one of 3 teams in the majors with 4 players to have 10 or more RBIs. Blue Jays, Tigers, and Astros all have 4 players that have knocked in double-digit ribbies. There's a drive to the alley in left field. This ball is going to go up against the wall. Bautista is headed for second. Another extra base hit for Jose. His 6th double of the season. That's how you hit a hanging curveball.
Well, you know what? His first time up, I think they pitched around him and threw a bunch of balls, fastballs off the plate. This time up, though, Deanna Navarro says, let's see if he can hit his curveball. And I think he saw nothing but curveballs with that whole at bat. And finally, with 2 strikes, they hang one, and Bautista short hops the left field wall with it.
Jose's got such good hands, and he is so strong that he didn't really get fully extended on that ball, but he drives it to the wall in left center. 1 out for Encarnacion. Off the plate.
Yeah, I just think that's Navarro really executing a game plan behind the plate, showing these big hitters a little something different. You mentioned it. Blue Jays, one of 4 teams with 4 players with 10+ RBIs. The contrast, Chicago is one of 2 major league teams without a 10 RBI team. Minnesota being the other one. So you got to do something different, I think, each time you come through the lineup.
Navarro snap throw, and Bautista's back in time.
That's just to keep him a little bit closer to that bag, just in case there's a base hit into the outfield. Jose shortens up just a little bit.
The outfield really kind of shallow for Encarnacion. Outside. Now, mind you, they have 3 outfielders that can all go get them. They've all played center field in the past. And Cabrera, Jackson, and Adam Eaton, but they're shallow.
Shallow, and they're playing them to pull. I mean, really pull, especially Cabrera. Their scouting reports must say that when he gets the ball in the air, it's down the line.
When he gets it in the air, it's gone.
Yeah, that's down the line, a little bit too far down the line. Off speed pitch, sped his bat up.
Full count, 1 out. Tulowitzki's on deck. Base hit up the middle. Bautista's getting the wave around third. Here's the throw from Austin Jackson. It's cut off. Encarnacion has 3 RBIs.
Well, they were shallow. They still couldn't get the ball home to make a play on Bautista. Right back through the middle goes Encarnacion. His double was to right center field. His RBI singles right back through the middle. The ball really slows down as it gets to Jackson. He doesn't have enough arm to get Jose at the plate. Reads it right off the bat, and you know he's going to be sent home. Scores easily without a throw.
The Blue Jays have 5 hits. The big three have 4 of those 5 hits, and they've hit 3 doubles. They must have seen our open.
Got a little upset. Don't forget about us.
Encarnacion and Bautista went 2 for 20 against Oakland, but they have picked it up here tonight. They are 3 for 3, have scored 2 runs and driven in 3. 0-1 to Tulowitzki.
Edwin Encarnacion, an excellent base runner. He takes the turn at first base. It's cut off, and Brett Laurie, the second baseman, tries to sneak in behind him, but Edwin, he always runs with his head up, right? He's always very aware when he is on the bases, where everybody is. And you're not going to pull that trick on him.
Way outside. Tulowitzki was called out on strikes in the first on a borderline pitch down and away. It was a 10-pitch at bat. Sees a lot of pitches. Saw a bunch of them in his first at bat tonight. The Blue Jays have done a terrific job of breaking up streaks. They were the first team to beat the Orioles at home. They were the first team to beat the A's on the road. Oakland had 7 straight wins on the road to start the season. They knocked them off. And they're trying to cool off the red-hot White Sox, who swept the Rangers at home. Little flare, that's going to drop their ball, and Encarnacion peeks over his shoulder. Here's the throw from Eaton. He's got a strong arm, and he throws him out. Great throw by Adam Eaton. He threw a one-hop strike to third. He charged it very well and kept it low.
Boy, what a throw by Eaton. He's going to pick up his 3rd outfield assist already this season. I didn't think he had a shot at getting Encarnacion at third base. He reads it right off the bat. He knows that that ball is going to dump in there, but look at Eaton get there on 3 bounces and comes up firing. One hopper right to Todd Frazier. Told you that this team has improved themselves immensely on defense. And that time they bail out their starter with a good defensive play.
6 hits now for the Blue Jays.
Edwin's going to go in there hard, head first. Well, look at Frazier get out in front of the bag and get the ball to put the tag on it. Now he's going to look up to see where that back runner is.
Eaton played center field last year and was plagued by shoulder injuries. He's really playing well in right. Saunders hits it high and deep to center. Austin Johnson, goodbye, home run. Michael Saunders is back.
Second home run of the season for Michael Saunders, and he put a charge into that ball. Told you Miguel Gonzalez will give up his share of fly balls, and if he makes a mistake, there's a good chance that those balls are going to leave the ballpark. Michael Saunders crushed that thing to center field.
5-1 Blue Jays.
Fastball out over the plate. more time for good measure. That one is not coming back. 2 more runs for the Blue Jays. They're a very happy fan.
Brian Goins grounded out to first base, hit a hot shot to the right of Abreu, who backhanded it. Grounded out to Laurie. This one's going the other way. Frazier dives, gets to his feet in time. The Blue Jays score 3 runs on 4 hits and another home run. Here comes the Ultimate Cleanup Crew, brought to you by Home Hardware's exclusive line of the Ultimate hard hitting and tough on grime cleaning products.
Fans, time to have a look at those big, comfy green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone. Tonight, we welcome guests of TD. Meanwhile, over in the Blue Jays Care Community Clubhouse, our folks from Oakdale Park Middle School having a great time at the ballpark tonight. Guys?
Look up on the television. That's you. Jays Care Community Clubhouse, always a popular spot. Welcome to the ballpark. Hope you're having a great time tonight. So far, the Blue Jay hitters are having a good time. They've scored 5 runs on 7 hits, and Michael Saunders has homered. That's all in support of Marcus Stroman. Stroman has retired 8 straight, and has 7 ground balls. Keeping that ball on the ground again tonight.
Found a couple of holes in that first inning, and he wriggled out of some tough hot water there in that first inning. Second and third, nobody out, and he only gave up 1 run.
Two and 1 to Todd Frazier. Stroman not really pleased with his footing as he kind of lost his balance there on that last pitch. Another ground ball. This one's foul.
You know what he does with that fastball? He changes speeds with that fastball. He'll sink it, of course. And he's got great arm action. He'll throw one speed, then he'll take a little something off, then he'll take a little something else off of that fastball. So basically, out of 1 pitch, he can use 3. And he's just not getting that corner tonight.
He's going to continue to work that corner, but look once again where all those pitches are. He's left everything down, and he has kept it below the thighs. And that one got out, but it had a little extra on it, and Frazier fouls it into the seats. Nice play by that fan. Yeah, I caught it.
Without a glove. We haven't seen too many of those good hard breaking balls that Marcus will throw to right-handed batters.
That ball is lined into center. Carrera will go up and play it on a big hop. Frazier with the single to start the fourth.
I don't know if he doesn't have the feel for the breaking ball just yet, or he wants to go a couple of times through the lineup before he starts to use it. That's a pitch that's right out over the middle of the plate with 2 strikes. The batter's going to stay on that one. Carrera gives enough ground to hold him to a single.
So that ends the streak of 8 straight retired by Stroman. Melky Cabrera lined out to the first baseman. That was the second out of the first inning. 5-1 Jays. That's a soft liner. Goins will make the catch. Marcus Stroman's done a terrific job of getting the ground balls, and it's by design. Take a look at his pitch patterns from 2015 compared to this year.
15 is on your left right there. And you can see right in the middle of that field right there is the red where all those pitches are. But in 2016, barely has any pitches over the top of that strike zone. Everything is concentrating down where most of his pitches are. And he is starting to feel that two-seam fastball. Loving it. There's one right there. He can then throw a slider, a curveball, but everything has been down.
Brett Lawrie a year ago in Oakland hit .260 with 29 doubles, 3 triples, and 16 home runs. Lawrie came into this game with a 5-game hit streak. He grounded out to third base his first time up.
Good pitch right there. You mentioned the 16 home runs for Lawrie last year. That's one of the other things that the White Sox wanted to improve on from last season. Improve the defense, the inner defense, and let's get a little bit more power into that lineup. They were last in the American League in home runs last year with 136. They got 35 when they traded for Frazier. They got 16 more from Brett Lawrie.
Stroman continues to try to work that outside corner, and this time he gets the call. He's been shooting at that outside corner to the righties all night long, and that time Sonia gave him the call.
I thought it came back a lot, enough to get that outside corner. Little two-seam. Watch the action coming back. Totally does a good job of freezing it and holding it there. Now that's a strike.
The DH, Avisail Garcia. Frazier breaks for second, and Stroman finally steps off, fires to Goins, and the inning is over. Todd Frazier had a hunch Stroman was going to go to the plate, but he held the ball. They said step off and watch him react. Frazier just takes off running. Stroman calmly steps off and throws a strike to end the inning.
Fans, follow the Blue Jays live on your phone and tablet with the MLB.com at-bat app. Customize at-bat to feature the Blue Jays and stay up to the moment at any moment with scores, news, live game video highlights, and much more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Buck?
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. Lots going on around the baseball world. Chris Archer's bounced back a little bit. Archer got off to a slow start, but he's having a good start tonight. This ball is hit in the air. Adam Eaton makes the catch on Darwin Barney. One down here in the bottom of the 4th. Archer is pitching against Baltimore, and he had been struggling, but tonight 5 innings, 3 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts.
I bet you the slider's back. What do you think?
More than likely. 68 pitches through 5 innings. Josh Doyle laced a single into center back in the 2nd. Oh, and 2. You mentioned the improvement for the White Sox defensively. Deanna Navarro was part of that conscious effort to improve the defense. He and Alex Avila were both brought in as catchers. Avila right now is on the DL with a hamstring injury. But look what they did to their defense. Frazier at 3rd, terrific. Jimmy Rollins, a veteran. Yeah, he's in the latter stages of his career, but he's a 4-time Gold Glover. Laurie at 2nd has terrific range as he makes the adjustment from 3rd to 2nd. And you bring in Austin Jackson, who can cover a lot of ground in center. Josh Tolley. He gets a base hit with 2 strikes. He's 2 for 2.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
One out, Tolley at 1st, back to the top of the order. Carrera has grounded out twice so far tonight.
You know, to finish up that thought on the defense, if you're going to have 4 starters who are left-handed, like the White Sox have, 4 left-handed starters, you better have a good defense on the left side of your infield. And the White Sox have that.
Well, the defense has really played hand in hand with the improvement of the pitching. As we speak, the White Sox have the biggest reduction in ERA in the majors from last year to this. They've lopped 1.70 earned runs off their earned run average, and Robin Ventura can appreciate that. They've done a nice job.
Think about that. Almost 2 runs a game better. And a lot of it has to do with the great defense.
Yes!
Carrera goes around. It's 2-2. But we have talked about the improved defense helping the pitching in relationship to the Blue Jays when they acquired Tulowitzki last year and put him at shortstop. Don Cooper, longtime pitching coach. This is his 14th full season with the White Sox. Cooper's been in the organization 29 years.
You look a lot smarter, right, when you got a team that can catch the ball.
Well, and 2, it takes so much pressure off your pitchers. They don't have to be perfect. It's hard to strike out everybody. 3-2, 1 out. Donaldson waits on deck. Line drive into center. That's going to get down in front of Austin Jackson. Carrera with another hit. Tolley stops at 2nd. Josh Donaldson will bat with a couple aboard.
You know what Ezequiel Carrera is doing is he's getting himself into good hitting counts. And when the pitcher makes a mistake, he's taking advantage of it. A couple of hits yesterday with a home run. This time an elevated fastball. He got himself into a hitter's count. Laid off some of those tough pitchers down and away. Made that pitcher come to him and then hits a bullet in the center field. Hit number 9 already for the Blue Jays.
Blue Jays bat's starting to come alive. Donaldson has doubled, scored, and struck out. Just missed hitting his 8th home run of the season in the first inning. Hit a ball off the top of the fence in right. Don Cooper on the phone to the bullpen. Remember, Donaldson hit .480 against the White Sox last year. He was 12 for 25, and half of his hits were home runs. Zach Putnam starts to move it around. He'll loosen up for the White Sox, and this bullpen has been great. And they haven't had to pitch an awful lot
because the starters have been so good.
Donaldson strikes out. That'll bring Jose Bautista to the plate, who had an interesting at bat last time.
And again, they're going to make adjustments. Watch the curveballs they're going to throw to him. His first time up, it was a lot of fastballs out of the zone, and he ended up walking 1, 2, 3 curveballs, and they went to the well one more time. And a good hitter is going to pick up on that. You throw that curveball trying to speed up that bat so they pull it foul. Well, that time he pulled it into the gap at left center field. Let's see what they do this at bat.
2 outs. Fastball for a strike. Janner Navarre is one of the best behind the plate at mixing up pitches. This is the 3rd at bat for Bautista. He's walked and doubled.
I got a feeling they're not going to throw a curveball for a strike. He might try and bounce it, or that might be the last one he sees.
That one goes back to the backstop, and the runners will move up. Toley to 3rd, Carrera to 2nd. That's a wild pitch.
Runners on base. Bounces that bad boy to the backstop. And now a single will score 2.
Ball and a strike to Bautista. 2 outs. 5-1 Jays. Toley is 2 for 2. Carrera at 2nd. Single this inning.
Well, who do you want? Do you want to face Bautista, or do you want to face the guy on deck?
The guy on deck has gone 2 for 2. He's driven in 3 runs. Edwin Encarnacion, he's doubled and singled. Pick your poison. No matter what a pitcher has done in the past, Bautista still gets tremendous respect. A 2-time home run champion, he can take you deep anytime. They're reluctant to give in to him.
Breaking ball. I mean, that's what makes this lineup so difficult, especially if you have the guys hitting around the middle of this lineup. Then you got to choose. Well, which one do you want to pitch to?
3-2. Foul back over the screen. Well, you're right. You make a great point. You know, there's always been the conversation of who hits behind great hitters to protect them. Well, it doesn't really make any difference who's behind him. If you put guys on base, there's no place to put them.
And you have to pitch to them. And being great hitters, they're very patient too. And when they smell RBIs, I'm telling you, that awareness goes way up.
Both Bautista and Encarnacion are in their walk year. And it is so easy to think about putting up numbers, but neither one of these guys have swung at bad pitches. They're taking strikes, they're taking walks, they're having great at bats. Another walk. Bautista's been on base all 3 times tonight. Now that Cooper will come out of the dugout. Buy some time for Putnam. We mentioned Cooper's in his 14th season as the Major League pitching coach for the White Sox.
He's done an incredible job for all of those years. He understands pitching. He was a pitcher himself in the Yankee organization. Ended up with the Minnesota Twins, got some time with the Twins way back in the day, but he understands pitching and he understands mechanics, fundamentals. You can see he's got a nice message to his starter.
Don Cooper actually pitched for the Blue Jays a very short while in the early 80s. Bases are loaded. 9 grand slams for Edwin. He is 2 for 2 with 3 RBIs tonight.
Not the one he wanted. Right there, fastball away.
Great hitters are very streaky. And when they get hot, it's hard to get them out.
Edwin's as streaky as they come.
Deep fly ball to center. Jackson is back at the track and makes the catch. The Blue Jays leave a pair. Encarnacion gave it a ride. We'll go to the 5th. 5-1 Jays. Now time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung Broadcast Studio.
There are only 5 days left now to sign the Blue Jays fan board and have your cheer included in the Players Tunnel at Rogers Center. Visit RogersCelebrations.com for details. Buck, you can see that is filling up fast, and the players just love it.
Yes, they do. They walk by it every single day. They go to the field, and nice little note there. Make sure your shoes are tied.
It's always a good thing to know.
That must have been a mom. Marcus Stroman out to start the 5th. For the White Sox, it'll be the bottom third of their batting order. Almacen, Garcia, Deanna Navarro, and Austin Jackson. Stroman retired this part of the lineup in order in the second. He got some help from Ryan Goins and Edwin Encarnacion on Garcia. He hit a ball to the third base side of second, and Goins threw him out almost from shortstop.
He's a big man, but he can run. Got down that line thinking he had a hit. Marcus got that two-seamer working again, so lots of ground ball outs.
That ball is up and hit hard down the left field line. That bounces off the wall. Saunders will play it back in. Garcia slides into second. A leadoff double. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Well, and chances are the A's aren't going to score a whole bunch because Jordan Zimmerman is pitching for Detroit, and he is off to a great start. He has not allowed an earned run this season. 5 innings, 3 hits, no walks, and a strikeout. He is dealing.
That home run by Cabrera, Miguel Cabrera, broke a homerless streak of 50 at bats. What? Guy is one of the best hitters in all of baseball. It was career home run number 410.
Stroman and Tolley getting together on the signs. There hasn't been a base runner to second since the first inning. Pete Walker going over his scouting reports. Johnny Navarro struck out on a breaking ball in the second. So they start him off with a fastball. Gianna Navarro throughout his career has been involved in some big trades. He was traded for Randy Johnson from Arizona, and he got traded the same day to the Dodgers for Sean Green. He went from New York to Arizona, and they turned him into Sean Green. It's a fly ball, not that deep. Carrera calls for tagging up his Garcia at second, and he will stop.
This Blue Jays Rogers 4K broadcast is powered by the Samsung 4K SUHD TV.
Austin Jackson. He struck out his only time up. So fly ball to right. Bautista backs up. Garcia is tagging up at second. He'll move to third. Now there are 2 outs. Right fielder Adam Eaton will bat with a man at third and 2 down.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, Marcus has been down the whole game, and he's been getting ground ball outs. 3 batters here in the 5th inning. Pitches have been up and then hit it into the air. A double and a couple of fly balls.
You know, as a hitter, when you see nothing but low pitches, down, 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 all of a sudden you see one up, it looks like it's a beach ball.
The ball looks huge, doesn't it? And you start swinging. I better start swinging here because it might be the only one I get.
There's a wicked breaking ball. Marcus has the perfect arsenal of pitches to work his way through a lineup 3 and 4 times. And he can show you a different attack each time you come to the plate.
That's why I think he's been holding off on that breaking ball. We haven't seen too many of them tonight. The sharp breaker, the one that he can use for strikeouts.
Little looping pop-up. Tulowitzki out, makes the catch. Stroman leaves a runner at third base. We're going to the bottom of the fifth. The Blue Jays behind Marcus Stroman have a 5-1 lead over the White Sox.
The Blue Jays Acura Luxury Suite. Business meeting and a ball game. Great way to spend an afternoon. Our account executives will find the package that best suits your needs. Go to bluejays.com/luxury suites for more details. Buck, the key is you get there early, you get the business out of the way, and then you sit and enjoy the ball game.
Perfect afternoon, Barry. I think it's a great idea, and you can see a lot of people have taken advantage of that suite tonight. Good crowd on hand for a Monday night. It was a big weekend with Oakland in town. Troy Tulowitzki takes the first pitch strike. That starts the bottom of the fifth. Tulowitzki had a base hit to right field back in the third. On that base hit, Edwin Encarnacion was at first. He tried to go first to third, and he was gunned down by Adam Eaton at third base. That Eaton throw was one of the best we've seen this year. He came in, charged the ball very well, and threw a one-hop strike to third base.
Didn't think he had a shot, but he wound up and threw a seed on one hop over to third base. Third outfield assist already this year for Adam Eaton.
A ball and 2 strikes. Tulowitzki pulls it down the third base line. Gonzalez not in time. Tulowitzki has a couple of hits.
He got a hit on a blooper to right field and then a swinging bunt, this time up. Breaking ball away, and somehow he's able to pull that thing. Can't roll it out there any easier. See, those will make up for all those line drives that they catch. Tulo's got a multi-hit game.
And Jennings loosening up for the White Sox. Michael Saunders hit a deep home run to center his last time up. Saunders did not play in the Oakland series. Home run number 2 of the season for Saunders.
He's been swinging the bat really well. And Baltimore had a big series, so you know it had to be killing him to be sitting on that bench watching his team swing the bats the way they did.
This is popped up down the left field line. Frazier calls for it. Third baseman makes the catch. one away.
But for him, he hasn't missed a beat. Got a home run tonight, a couple of RBIs.
Second baseman Ryan Goins, a couple of ground outs tonight. Goins has made kind of a subtle adjustment at the plate. He's just trying to keep that bat on his shoulder before he makes his first move. Felt like he was a little bit too quick. He would lift that bat off his shoulder a little too early and be out in front of everything.
That started in spring training. He was taking it off. Last year he was waiting for the longest time, and then when the pitcher started to come home, he lifted off his shoulder and in one motion swing the bat. Looks like he's gone back to it.
Fly ball into center. Jackson will get there. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. So 5-1 ball game. Michael Saunders with a 2-run home run to center field in the third. Darwin Barney filling in at third base tonight as Josh Donaldson is the DH. Darwin played second base on Friday night and again on Sunday afternoon. He homered Friday night. And on Sunday afternoon, he had 2 more hits and drove in a run.
He's the perfect backup type of player. Middle infielder. He can play shortstop.
Fly ball to right. The Blue Jays get a leadoff single, but they strand the base runner. Will go to the 6th. Blue Jays 5 runs on 10 hits, have the lead.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
We head to the 6th. The White Sox will send Jimmy Rollins to the plate to start things off. Blue Jays trying to get over 500. They're 10-10 at the start of play. Collins takes the first pitch, strike. Baltimore leads the division at 11-6. Boston and the Blue Jays both 500. Boston is 9-9. The Blue Jays 10-10. They're 2.5 back.
It's going to be tight all year, isn't it?
I think so.
In this division,
it looks like it, and sounds like Chris Archer's sorted things out. George Zimmerman has given up a run. His scoreless streak ends at 24 1/3. Bouncing ball. Tulowitzki is there behind the bag at second. Well, Marcus Stroman came up last September after knee surgery, made 4 starts, won all those starts. He's 3-0 so far, and then you go back to 2014. He is 9-0 in his last 12 starts, including the playoffs.
great earned run average, opponents, all the great numbers, but there's more to it than just that. How about the intangibles that he brings?
Fly ball to Bautista. Abreu's retired on 1 pitch.
You know, he's a winner, and he's got that confidence, and it just oozes from him, and I think it rubs off on all the other players. He loves these type of big games. I mean, we saw him in New York when he came in for the first time last year after the surgery in New York. That question was posed to John Gibbons, said he loves the spotlight.
He has made quite an adjustment in this game. He threw 25 pitches in the first inning and allowed a run on 2 hits. And since then, 14, 10, 13, and 10. Fly ball. Saunders at the wall, at the track. He's going to jump and makes the catch. Todd Frazier took him right to the wall in left. Marcus Stroman sets down the White Sox in order on just 6 pitches. Saunders stayed with this ball right in front of the warning track, jumps and catches it for the final out of the 6th.
Contest is now on for your chance to cheer on the Blue Jays in Boston with WestJet. Go to bluejays.com/WestJet, fly away to enter. Buck, you mentioned earlier about the Red Sox getting in so late. They made a pretty wise decision sending Rick Porcello in a day early. He's gone 5+ innings of scoreless ball tonight.
But then again, Barry, he's pitching against the Atlanta Braves. Braves have a very young team, and they've had a rough start to their season. Atlanta 4-14. They've lost 5 straight, and they're 1-10 in Atlanta.
And offensively, in 18 games, they have 3 home runs. 3 home runs as a team.
Miguel Gonzalez falls behind Josh Tolley. Tolley's 2 for 2 so far.
He's pulled the ball twice. This is new Josh Tolley. The defense looks like the 2015 Josh Tolley hitting. Spray the ball the other way. 2016 is a little bit more upright, trying to pull the ball, and he's done it so far tonight. You can see the center fielder and the left fielder are pulled around to the left, and they're shallow.
Pops this one back out of play. Josh's last 3-hit game was also against the White Sox right here at Rogers Center. May 26th last season. He went 3 for 4 with a double, drove in a run. Full count. Throwing him curveballs on a full count.
That's respect, right? Leading off the inning, number 9 hitter.
Carrera, the leadoff man, is 1 for 3 tonight. Foul tip into the catcher's glove. That's the first out of the bottom of the 6th.
3-2. You're leading off an inning. You can look for that heater halfway through the breaking ball. It's a pretty aggressive swing. I love it. I love the fact that he's trying to do a little bit more damage offensively. Let it go. You get 3 swings every at bat. Take advantage of all of them.
Bounced off the plate. Laurie bare hands, not in time. The second hit of the game for Carrera.
Laurie made the decision to lay back on that ball and catch it on the big hop. And then with the bare hand, but it wasn't going to be enough to get Carrera. He is swinging a hot bat right now.
Robin Ventura has made the call. They will bring in the right-hander Zach Putnam. Gonzalez is out. Putnam is in. The Blue Jays have 5 runs on 11 hits, and Donaldson will bat when we come back. Has gone to the bullpen, and why wouldn't you when you've got this kind of bullpen? You look at this bullpen and the depth they have. Robertson's a closer, but they've got some pretty good arms to set him up.
Good arms, and they throw strikes. That's walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. Nate Jones leads the pack with an .035. Zach Putnam's in there also. Putnam's got a good breaking ball and a split. He very rarely walks people. That's why that whip is so low. 5 games this season. He's pitched 6 1/3 innings. He only has 1 walk, averaging 7 strikeouts per 9 innings.
The White Sox bullpen has only given up 1 home run all season long. Zach Putnam gave up a home run to Desmond Jennings back on the 16th of April in Tampa Bay. They have done a great job. Putnam challenged with Josh Donaldson, his first batter here in the 6th. 1 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. (5-1) Jays. Chicago has 4 hits. 2 of those came in the first inning. Fly ball into center. Carrera going back to tag at first. Jackson makes the catch and Carrera will stop. 2 down now. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Kevin Gausman, making his first start of the season, has struck out 7 in his first outing. Brian Mattis is into that game now, and they have since gone to Vance Worley. So they're 3 deep in pitchers tonight down in Tampa Bay. Bautista got a pitch to hit, and he pops it up. Shortstop Jimmy Rollins is there, and that'll end the inning. So Putnam comes out of the bullpen and retires the 2 he faces. We'll go to the 7th. Tomorrow night it'll be game 2 of this 3-game series, and an interesting pitching matchup. Chris Sale off to a great start this season at 4-0. They go against R.A. Dickey.
Best pitcher in the American League so far, Chris Sale, 4-0. R.A. Dickey will get to match up against him. There are his numbers. Chris Sale, whenever he pitches, you can expect a lot of strikeouts. 274 of them last year, which is a franchise record.
Sale will make his 4th career start against the Blue Jays. It'll be his 7th appearance. He has 1 complete game. He also has a save against the Blue Jays. Marcus Stroman starts the 7th, misses with the first pitch. Stroman, boy, he really economized after a 25-pitch first inning. This next pitch will be pitch number 80. That's
why he can get deep into the games. Forget the strikeouts. I think he made an effort last year to use that two-seamer, get those quick innings so you can pitch deeper into a ball game. Remember we were talking last inning about intangibles, things that you can do. There are his numbers right there, 51 strikes, 29 balls, to help your ball club. He's just a great athlete.
He's the ultimate teammate. When he's not pitching, he's encouraging everybody around him, especially his starting rotation partners. Of course, everybody knows that he and Aaron Sanchez are very close. They worked out all winter long down in Duke. That's a bouncing ball past Encarnacion into right. So Carrera's aboard. A leadoff single. Let's check in with Jamie Kent. It's early, but Nathan Eovaldi hasn't allowed a hit in 3 innings.
Sure, he has a few strikeouts also.
Brett Lawrie has gone 0 for 2 so far. Chicago with 5 hits. Blue Jays haven't turned a double play yet, despite all the ground balls induced by Stroman. Tulowitzki to second for 1. This is a tough guy to double up. Lawrie beats it easily.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
The DH, Avisail Garcia. He doubled his last time up. Was robbed of a base hit in the second. He is 1 for 2. Talk about Stroman, and what a great athlete. We were sitting on the bench with Ron Washington Friday before the start of the Oakland series, and Stroman was taking ground balls at short. Washington, of course, the infield instructor and third base coach for Oakland, says, "Who's that out there at short?" I said, "That's Stroman." He goes, "Man, he looks like he could play short." I said he could.
And he did play second while he was at Duke. Yeah, he was amazed. He was like, who's this new guy you have out there? He doesn't miss a beat, right? And if you see a guy taking ground balls, if you're around Washington, he's always got his eyes on the field. And he couldn't believe how mechanically correct Stroman was fielding ground balls. He said, look, he's a good athlete. He can do whatever he wants on a baseball field.
It really serves him well. As a pitcher, he makes good plays fielding his position.
He wasn't out there long. He took maybe, what, 5 or 6 ground balls and then went out with the pitchers. And Washington saw it, recognized what a good athlete he is. I said, well, you should see him throw a baseball.
Three and 1 now to Garcia, the number 7 hitter. Yanner Navarro is on deck. Base hit, slapped into right. Bautista will come up and hit the cutoff man. Another ground ball. It finds a hole. Garcia has a couple of hits.
They haven't been hit particularly hard, but they have really found the holes. And that's going to bring Pete Walker out, probably to buy some time to get the bullpen going.
Brett Cesa will indeed start to loosen up. Top of the 7th. Stroman has given up 6 hits now. The Blue Jays starters have done a terrific job. They have allowed 3 earned runs or less in 16 of their first 20 games. And it has become a very efficient unit for John Gibbons. Really taking the load off the bullpen.
I think a lot of people are surprised by the starting pitching, but the Blue Jays aren't. They knew what they had when they signed Jay Happ and brought back Estrada.
That's off Stroman, and Goins is going to field it, and they still have time to get Navarro. Stroman got hit hard with that. I'm not sure where he got hit, but he's feeling the effects. Might have got hit on his hand. That's why he took the baseball. No, he said it's on his left elbow. But they're going to go out and check him.
You know, it looked like, Buck, he was trying to catch that ball. If he lets it go, that's a double play. Watch it one more time. He throws his arm up there just to try and deflect it. But Tulowitzki is standing right behind him. That's a double play. Marcus trying to make something that isn't there, just throwing the arm up and gets hit on the elbow. And Goins can finish off the play to get the all-important out. One more time, comebacker. Yeah, he was just throwing his glove up there to try and deflect it.
He throws a pitch and says, I'm okay. And he certainly wants to get out of this inning. He's got 2 outs in the 7th. Lowry's at third base now. Garcia's at second. Austin Jackson, the center fielder, has struck out and flied out. Two and 0. Outside.
You know he wants to finish this inning.
Absolutely. He wants to get 7.
Yeah. If you know anything about Marcus Stroman, he wants to finish it off. But maybe getting hit in that left elbow messed him up a little bit, and I think the Blue Jays see that.
Yeah, it looked like it really took him out of his delivery. Couldn't extend that arm. You can see he's upset because he can't finish off the inning. 4-pitch walk to Austin Jackson. Brett Sasa will come into the ball game to face the leadoff man Adam Eaton, and Stroman with another terrific start. Marcus Stroman in line for his 4th win of the season against no losses. He'll look to Brett Cecil to strand these 2 base runners.
Cecil pitched in yesterday's ball game, was credited with a whole 2/3 of an inning.
Adam Eaton goes after the first pitch.
And he's going to have to face a tough hitter to get out of this inning. Eaton, he's faced him 1 time in his career, and he is retired of it. Eaton tough on lefties. He'll keep that shoulder in there against Cecil's breaking ball.
Ball on a strike to Adam Eaton. Eaton singled and scored the White Sox run. Brett Cecil has inherited 2 base runners here in the 7th. He's allowed 3 of the 6 previous base runners to score. Fouled off the catcher's shin guard. He's ahead 1-2. Well, the one thing relief pitchers love to do is strand the starters' runners.
Yeah, there's 3 of them out there. Those belong to Marcus Stroman. He wants to leave them standing out there.
Ground ball up the middle. Pass to Lewinsky. 2 runs are going to score. Laurie and Garcia score. And it's a 5-3 ball game.
I told you he is a tough customer. Eaton, he is not going to give any ground to that left-hander, even though he's got a great curveball. Watch him stay right in on that thing and pound it right over the bag at second base for a 2-run single. I don't think Mark is upset with Brett Cecil for that hit. I think he's upset with himself that he couldn't get out of the inning by himself. And he'll be charged with those 2 runs.
Jackson now at second. Eaton with his 2nd and 3rd RBIs of the season. Jimmy Rollins turns around and bats right-handed for the first time. One and one to the White Sox shortstop. Marcus Stroman hit on the left elbow on that comebacker to the mound off the bat of Gianna Navarro. Gavin Floyd, the former White Sox, starts to loosen up. Rollins lines it into left. Saunders is playing out on a hop. Here comes Jackson. He's going to score. And Jimmy Rollins has made it a 1-run game. That'll close the book on Marcus Stroman.
You know, the White Sox come into this game very confident with their pitching, confident with their defense, and now offensively. Rollins gets 1 pitch up in the strike zone. He takes advantage of with a single into left field. This is a team, like I said, playing with a lot of confidence, feeling like they're never out of any ball game, and they've made this a 1-run game now.
Jimmy Rollins, 2 hits for his career. He has 2,436 hits. He's a tough out. RBI number 4 for Rollins. Eaton at second base represents the tying run. Jose Abreu. Abreu had a big hit for the White Sox on Saturday and a walk-off hit in the bottom of the 11th. That snapped an 0 for 18 stretch for Abreu. He's gotten off to a slow start.
Yeah, he's in a 4 for 40 funk right now. But he is an RBI producer.
He drove in the first run of the ball game with a ground out in the first. The breaking ball, good job by Tolley to keep Eaton at second. Cecil ahead, 1-2.
Good spot for that breaking ball. Balance it if you have to. Good job by Josh Tolley to keep it in front of him.
Out in front of home plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cleanup man Todd Frazier is on deck. The appeal down to first base. Alan Porter said no swing. It's a full count now. So the runners, Eaton at second and Rollins at first, will be off on the pitch. And they can both run.
Rollins telling him, hey, you're going to get another curveball here. Move up in the batter's box and look for it. Red has fed him nothing but off-speed pitches.
There go the runners. Ball 4. So the White Sox will load the bases for a second time this inning, and John Givens has come out of the dugout. He's got Gavin Floyd ready in their bullpen. He's made the call. So Abreu walks. Todd Frazier will be the 9th batter to bat for Chicago here in the 7th. Gavin Floyd into the ball game. 2 outs and the bases loaded. He'll deal with Todd Frazier when we come back. Kevin Floyd spent 7 years with the White Sox. He was a starter for Chicago, won 63 games, and now he's trying to close out the top of the 7th. Chicago has scored 3 runs. They have the bases loaded and their cleanup hitter at the plate.
Righties just 3 for 17 against Gavin Floyd this year. The neutralizer is that hard breaking ball. They're now in a 1-run game. Bases loaded, tying run 90 feet away.
Hard fastball with late movement. Drilled to left field. That's going to get down and go off the wall. 1 run is in. Rollins coming in right behind Eaton. And Todd Frazier drives in 2 to give the White Sox the lead.
He just missed a home run his last time up. That was just last inning. He ended the 6th inning with a fly ball to left field. Then Michael Saunders hauled in. This time he gets another fastball and drilled it to left field. Tried a sinker that stayed up, and he was all over it. I told you, 35 home runs last year, so some pop in that bat, and he picks up 2 big runs with 1 swing.
With those 2 RBIs, Frazier becomes the first White Sox to drive in double-digit runs this year. He has 11 now. Melky Cabrera started the inning off with a base hit to right. He's the 10th man to bat this inning. Jose Abreu's at 3rd. Frazier with the double is at 2nd. A 5-run inning. The White Sox came into this game having won 3 in a row. They have a record of 13-6 and a half-game lead over the Kansas City Royals in the Central.
Best record in the American League. Playing with a lot of confidence right now. Even if they get behind, they've had that ability to come back.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Cabrera swung over the top of that curveball.
One of the reasons that they've been able to come back is because the bullpen's been so good. And if the Blue Jays are going to have to come back, they're going to have to do it against the very good bullpen that the White Sox throw out there.
Best bullpen in baseball. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Brett Lawrie scored the first run of this inning. He reached on a fielder's choice. That'll load the bases. It's the 3rd walk of the inning.
I tell you, it's a game of inches. You've heard that for years. I keep thinking about that ball back through the middle off the bat of Navarro. That ball gets by Marcus. It's a double play, and they're out of this inning.
Lawrie wails at that first pitch and rips it into the seats. Bouncing ball behind Marcus Stroman. He swiped at it behind his back. Got hit on the elbow. They were able to get it out, but it could have been a double play.
.400 average with 3 grand slams for Lori, so be careful.
So Floyd ends the inning. The White Sox score 5. They leave the bases loaded. The Blue Jays will bat in the 7th, down 6-5.
Tryouts will take place May 9th to 13th here at Rogers Center and across Canada throughout the summer. These tryouts help to determine the players that will be selected to represent their province and region at Tournament 12. Register now at bluejays.com/T12 for the T12 tryout in your area. Buck?
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. The Blue Jays, they gave up 5 runs in the top half of the 7th, and they have trailed by a run 6-5. Brett Cecil didn't record it out. Gave up 2 hits, charged with 2 earned runs. Marcus Stroman, 6 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs.
His line is not going to look good, but I thought he pitched well. Just that last inning. Getting nicked up for 3 runs in that last inning.
Isn't that interesting? You look at his line, you go, boy, he really got hit around. And actually,
it's not true. Yeah, not true at all.
Edwin Encarnacion's had a big night at the plate. There's that splitter that's so effective. Edwin has gone 2 for 3 with a double. He's driven home 3. He's behind 0-2. We mentioned the White Sox bullpen. Best ERA in baseball, 151. They've only allowed 1 home run. That was given up by Zach Putnam. Edwin lays off that splitter, and it's a good one.
Bullpen on base plus slugging, also 2nd best in all of baseball. Only the Cubs have been better.
Foul tip into the catcher's butt. 1 out. Prior to tonight's game, PlayStation provided us with a prediction of who they thought the Blue Jays player of the game would be. Tonight they picked Troy Tulowitzki.
Okay, so far so good. Predictor went 2 for 4 with a double and a home run and 2 RBIs. Tulo's got his 2 hits. He's looking for one right now, an extra base hit.
The simulation is powered by MLB The Show. Welcome to the show only on PlayStation. Tulowitzki has 2 hits. He's 2 for 3. And a little looper down the right field line in the 3rd came around to score on the home run by Saunders, and then he had a swinging bunt in the 5th. It was a leadoff single, but the Blue Jays couldn't move him up.
Now representing the tying run after that 5-run inning. He's looking for an extra base hit here. Something into the outfield, into the gaps where he can get it at least into second base. Outfield a little bit deeper than what we saw earlier in the game because of that.
No doubles defense. Bounced in the dirt off the catcher. 2-2. The bullpen for Chicago has also allowed the 4th lowest opponent's batting average, giving up a 187 batting average. Seattle leads in that department, then the Cardinals, the Cubs, and the White Sox. Back-to-back strikeouts here in the 7th. Drive of the game is brought to you by the all-new Honda Civic, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
3rd inning, after a Tulowitzki single, Michael Saunders steps to the plate, and this one is not coming back. Deep to center field. Michael can break it down now with his 2nd home run, and that is tonight's drive of the game.
Well, Michael Saunders homered in the 3rd. He will see a new pitcher. Left-hander Dan Jennings will take over for Zach. His career with the Florida Marlins, and now he has filled a big role in that bullpen for Chicago.
He's a situational lefty because he's tough on the left-handers over his career. They got him from the Marlins for Andre Rienzo in December of 2014, a lefty out of that bullpen who can strike people out. He's got a great slider. In fact, it was the best slider in the Marlins organization when he was there. There's some deception into his delivery and to make it awfully tough on the lefties.
Michael Saunders batting with 2 outs and nobody on. Drew Storn appears as though he has finished his warm-ups. Off the plate inside. Saunders is 2 for 9 against lefty pitching so far this season. Drills that one. That's a base hit. Melky Cabrera does a good job to take the high hop and get it back. Michael Saunders now 3 for 10 against lefties.
Eden has really impressed me in right field. There's Adam Eden. He played center field last year for Chicago. Again, playing deep because the tying run is at the plate, hanging breaking ball. It's ripped, and this had double written all over it. Adam Eaton cuts it off and holds Saunders to a single.
Eden has really played well in the right. That was a big play on that high hop. Brian Goins 0 for 3 so far. Bouncing ball. Rollins will step on the bag, and that'll finish the Blue Jays in the bottom of the 7th. We'll go to the 8th. The Blue Jays are down by a run, trying to come back against the best bullpen in baseball. Marcus Stroman started this game. He gave up a run in the first inning on a couple of hits. He stranded Chu in that first inning and settled down very effectively. He goes 6 2/3. Overall, he gives up 6 hits, charged with 4 earned runs. And those runs, 3 of those runs came in after he was out of the game.
After he was out of the game, but still charged to him.
Avisail Garcia 2 for 3. Had a base hit to the right side of the infield off of Marcus Stroman. And then the next batter, Diana Navarro, hit that bouncing ball back to the mound, and Stroman took an ill-advised swipe at it and hit him on the left elbow. They were able to retire Navarro, but Stroman walked the next batter on 4 pitches.
Yeah, it just didn't look right either. He got hit on the elbow. Pat Venditti has gotten up and started to throw. We saw Drew Storen last inning.
That's a nasty curveball. He strikes out Garcia.
You can see why he is so tough on right-handed batters, because of that sweeping breaking ball. Kevin's been around long enough. He knows to find the weakness in hitters, and Garcia swings and misses through that one.
Diana Navarro 0 for 3 so far in this game. Diana was not in the original lineup. They had called up a rookie who was going to make his major league debut, and Navarro was a late addition. We've not been given any information as to why they changed.
Back spasms or something, from what I heard. Kevin Smith, the young kid who just got called up. to make his first big league start.
He replaced Alex Avila on the 25-man roster. Avila went on the disabled list. Well, that's got to be disappointing. Get called up from the minors, you're going to make your first start, and then you get back spasms and can't answer the bell. I don't think I would have told anybody.
Unless you couldn't move, and I guess the young man just can't move. Must not be feeling too good to not answer the bell.
3-1 to Navarro. Goes after that pitch. Austin Jackson, he got that 4-pitch walk off Stroman. That was the last batter that Stroman faced in the 7th. Ball is driven in the alley in left center, and that's not going to be caught up against the warning track over the scoreboard. And Deanna Navarro will walk into second with a ground rule double.
It's time to convert your big outdoor tasks into short, effortless work. Make the great outdoors even greater with Honda Power Equipment.
Deanna Navarro with his first double of the season comes with 1 out here in the 8th. Center fielder Austin Jackson, he was a late sign this offseason.
What is that with baseball? We're seeing more and more of that, where free agents, good major leaguers, don't have a job, sometimes into February, sometimes even into March. Matt Albers gets up and starts to throw.
Austin Jackson signed on the 6th of March after spring training had gotten well underway. Two and 1.
If it's just center fielders signing late. Dexter Fowler was a late sign this year.
Well, everybody's trying to figure out what's going to drop and how much you're going to have to pay in. They probably felt like they needed a center fielder. There was a lot of talk that Fowler was going to get there. Of course, Fowler thought he had signed with the Orioles.
Well, he signed late. Then weren't the Cubs already in spring training? He made his entrance and saw all his teammates and everything.
Walked
like that.
out into a meeting on the middle of the diamond.
I guess the thinking is the later you wait, that price keeps dropping. But there's good major league players who sit out there a long time before they get signed.
Ground ball to Tulowitzki. 2 away. So John Gibbons is out of the dugout. He has made the call. Pat Venditti. Venditti will come on to take over for Gavin Floyd, who face Adam Eaton. 2 outs, top of the 8th. Venditti comes in for his 4th appearance, and he will have the left-handed Adam Eaton to start things off for him with 2 outs and a runner at second.
Venditti last worked 4 days ago when he was credited with a hold and hitting in a 3rd in the Marco Estrada game down in Baltimore. There are his numbers in just 3 games this season, just 2 2/3 this season. He is going to throw from the left side to make things a little bit tougher on Adam Eaton.
John Navarro at second base had a 1-out double. Now there are 2 outs. First pitch slider. Fastball slider, that's basically the mix from Venditti. Adam Eaton had a 2-run single with the bases loaded off of Brett Cecil.
There were a couple of big at-bats, I thought, in that 5-run inning for the White Sox. That was one of them. Eaton's 2-strike approach with the bases loaded and 2 outs, setting that single back through the middle.
Eaton would come around to score the tying run, and Jimmy Rollins scored the go-ahead run on the 2-run double by Todd Frazier.
There's a good sweeper. You can always go through these types of games when they're back and forth or a close 1 or 2-run game, and you can pick out certain at-bats that are big at-bats, turning point type of at-bats. And I thought Eaton with that single was one of those type of at-bats.
Came into this game with just 1 RBI. He drove in 2 with that single into center. Nowitzki tried to knock it down, but it was beyond his reach as he dove for it. And Rollins had an RBI single, and big capper in the inning was the 2-run double by Todd Frazier off Gavin Bowie. Slider, he gets a piece of it. Miguel Gonzalez started the game for Chicago, his first start of the season. He goes 5 1/3. He was charged with 5 earned runs on 11 hits, but now he's off the hook. Zach Putnam is the pitcher of record. Dan Jennings came in and gave up a base hit to right, but then was able to get Goins to end the inning. Robin Ventura's got Matt Albers throwing down in the bullpen. Of course, their closer is David Robertson. The Blue Jays had a 5-1 lead going into the 7th inning, and then the roof caved in, and it all started with a comebacker that Marcus Stroman swiped at. The ball hit him on the left elbow. That was off the bat of Deanna Navarro. And then 1 batter later, Stroman was out of the game.
Hot teams take advantage of that, and Chicago comes in here, hot team, a confident team. And when they had a chance, they came up with some clutch hits. What an at bat Eaton is putting up against Venditti. 10 pitches already coming up. Number 10, and he's fouling off some tough sliders.
Venditti gets it. The White Sox leave a runner at second base. The Blue Jays are down by a run as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Now time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's J.D. Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Shop is Canada's largest and only official team shop for your Toronto Blue Jays. New 2016 authentic jersey with 40th season sleeve patch available now. Get yours today at jshop.ca. If you're lucky enough to catch a ball here at Rogers Centre, $2, the balls are using also have that 40th season patch on them.
Very cool, and that young fan looks like he's going to get a new shirt. New pitcher for the White Sox is Matt Albers. And look at his numbers. He's been stingy.
Guys, Albers has been around. He's been with Houston. He's been with Baltimore. The Blue Jays saw him when he was a starter with Baltimore. They moved him into the bullpen. Sinker slider type of pitcher. You have to have these type of guys come up big. And Matt Albers is a different pitcher since he went to the White Sox. Pounding the strike zone, throwing lots of strikes. He is working on a streak that's very impressive right now.
Career high 29 scoreless appearances and 32 scoreless innings pitched. Picked up his first win of the season on Saturday. For the Blue Jays, 8-9-1 here in the 8th. Darwin Barney. .32 scoreless innings pitched by Matt Albers. That's the 8th longest in White Sox franchise history.
You know, it's nothing, special. It's just sinker, slider, and he's making great pitches on the corner. He was a starter, like we said. They moved him into the bullpen, and he's found a home over there.
1-2 to Barney. Strike 3 called. Barney not happy with that outside pitch. It's been a point of contention, the outside strike to right-handed hitters all night.
9th strikeout tonight by a Blue Jay batter. Here comes that side-winding fastball right on the outside corner. Swings back.
Josh Tolley's had a 2-hit game. Blue Jays have 12 hits, but they trail in the run column 6-5. Bautista and Encarnacion have had good nights at the plate. Jose has walked twice, scored 2 runs, and doubled. Edwin has a 3 RBI night going. Two balls and a strike. Hits it hard. Austin Jackson on the run. Josh Tolley made a bid for extra bases, and it's caught by Austin Jackson.
They were shading him that way if they weren't. And again, they're a little bit deeper because Josh Tolley represented the tying run. They were a little bit deeper shading him that way. Jackson flags it down. Here's another thing that Putnam hasn't done. He hasn't given up many home runs with that sinker slider combination.
2 outs now for Carrera, top of the order. He has 2 more hits tonight. He bunts it up the first base line. Albers bare hands and throws to first in time. What a good play by Matt Albers. Another scoreless inning for Matt Albers as he is through the 8th. We'll go to the 9th. 6-5 Chicago. It's a good bunt. Albers gets off the mound, quickly fires to first, and he's all excited about that. Jays drops down a perfect bunt, but Matt Albers is there to make the play, and he's all fired up. Another scoreless inning for Matt Albers as he runs his streak to 33 consecutive scoreless innings.
He was slapping some serious high fives in that dugout. That was a heck of a play. Looked like it was going to be a base hit, and the go-ahead run looked like it was coming to the plate.
Well, and that's Josh Donaldson, so they leave him on deck. Jimmy Rollins has had a 2-hit night, had an RBI single off of Brett Cecil in the 7th. Matt Venditti came in and struck out Adam Eaton to end the 8th. He took over for Gavin Floyd.
Thought he might be throwing left-handed to Jimmy Rollins to turn him around, keep him a little bit further away from first base.
Thought that was going to be the matchup, but Venditti has the option.
They look at those numbers.
That ball is driven deep into center field, and it's going to be up against the wall. Jimmy Rollins with a 3-hit night. For Rollins, that's his 5th double of the season. And And that's how the White Sox begin the ninth.
They look at the numbers, and evidently they thought Jimmy Rollins from the left side was not as strong as Jimmy Rollins from the right side. And they guessed wrong. Fastball comes right back over the middle of the plate. And a good start here in the ninth inning as the veteran Rollins, 3 hits. Starts it with a double. Jesse Chavez just got up when Rollins was batting. So Pete Walker is out to steal a little time, a couple more pitches to see if he can get loose.
And that's tough with Chavez dealing with that back issue. That had him on the shelf for a few days. This is the first baseman, Jose Abreu. 0 for 3 tonight. Picked up his 9th RBI. First inning groundout. There's the closer, David Robertson. Robertson with 7 saves. He has a blown save. He's 7 for 8.
They need to save these runs right here. You got your 3 best hitters coming up in the 9th inning. Robin Ventura knows how important that run is out there at second base.
Huge run. Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion will bat in the 9th. Rollins gets a running start, and nice tag by Barney. The throw was to the inside of third base, and Jimmy Rollins had a running start. It's ball 4 to Abreu.
He's such a smart player. I mean, he picked up that Pat Venditti wasn't even looking at him, giving him one quick look and see ya. And he got a running start. Look at that. Before the ball is even released, he is halfway there and picks up another stolen base.
First stolen base this season for Jimmy Rollins. He had been caught in his 2 previous attempts. That's going to be it for Pat Venditti. He gives up a double and a walk here in the 9th. Jesse Chavez into the game to face Todd Frazier. Jesse Chavez pitched in the game yesterday afternoon. He recorded 2 outs, gave up a home run to Chris Coughlin, and threw 9 pitches in that game.
Had a strikeout, home run, and a fly ball, and then that was that. Finished that up, and now he's got to face a tough right-handed hitter. Nobody out, runners on first and third.
White Sox are ahead 6-5. The infield is halfway. And the Blue Jays need a strikeout. Todd Frazier, he had the go-ahead hit. He hit a 2-run double off of Gavin Floyd. First batter Floyd faced coming into the game in the 7th.
It's an interesting infield alignment. That run is extremely important down there at third base. And if there is a ground ball to the middle of the diamond, they can go home.
Yeah, and that's why you play here, and you're going to cut off the run. Jimmy Rollins, he will break more than likely. Fly ball. That's going to get them a run. Rollins goes back to tag. Abreu's tagging. He's trying to go to second, and he will make it. Abreu, for big man, really moves. So Rollins comes in to score on the sac fly, and Abreu moves into scoring position.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are going to, in all likelihood, take a look at this one out at second base. Jimmy Rollins' stolen base on a 3-0 pitch pays off for the White Sox, a big run. He steals third base, and he can score on that sac fly. Off the bat of Todd Frazier. He's going to score, and the throw's going to go into second base. And Abreu was running, reading that throw. You can always stop and go back, but he elects to go and is called safe. Look at the slide around the tag of Goins.
It's a big 90 feet picked up by Abreu on the sac fly. So Todd Frazier has a 3 RBI night. This is Melky Cabrera. They got a base open, and Brett Lawrie is on deck. 1 out.
Tell you what, I wouldn't even mess with this guy.
Melky gets big hits. He came into this game batting .333. He is 1 for 3 with a walk. He'll stay right there at .333. Chavez throws him 2 strikes. Well, that was a big stolen base. Jimmy Rollins, he just took a walking lead and moved into third on ball 4 to Abreu. Chicago scored 5 runs in the 7th. They've added a run here in the 9th. They now have a 7-5 lead. Torrey hangs on for the strikeout. Ball tipped into the glove. Chavez strikes out. Cabrera 2 down now. Brett Lawrie is 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts.
You were talking about that stolen base by Jimmy Rollins. You know, that was his 466 stolen bases now in the big leagues.
He's had a heck of a career.
Has he ever? And that was heads up. I mean, he got a running start on a 3-0 pitch.
Rollins is now 37 years old.
466 career stolen bases. He's only been thrown out 105 times in his whole career.
Last year with the Dodgers playing shortstop, he made just 9 errors. 0-2, 2 outs. That's a ball outside. Rollins had 12 stolen bases with LA last season. And the White Sox, in an effort to improve their defense, bring in the veteran. Corey strikes out, but the White Sox get a big run here in the ninth. The Blue Jays are down by 2. The big bats are coming up for the Jays. Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion against the closer, David Robertson. Bottom of the ninth coming up. The closer, David Robertson, in to face Josh Donaldson, and they have a history.
You know why that run in the top of the inning was so important? Because these two, when they get together, good things happen for Josh Donaldson. Remember this back in May? This is a walk-off home run to right field for Josh Donaldson, and I think that series, he got it the next day also on a home run that tied it in the bottom of the ninth inning. It was that series that everybody started saying, hey, this guy is a special player. He has the knack for coming up with big base hits and coming up with big home runs, and he did it off a great pitcher in David Robertson. There are his numbers in 8 games already this year. He's 7 for 8 in saves, 8 1/3 innings. He's got 11 strikeouts and just 2 walks. He comes right after that good hard fastball with the cutting action on it. Yeah, he's just part of a very deep and very talented bullpen for the Chicago White Sox.
Josh Donaldson doubled in his first at bat tonight. He's 1 for 4. Chicago has a 2-run lead. Cutter down and away. It's even at 1-1.
That is a hard cutter with some late movement on it. Right-handers this year just 1 for 10 against David Robertson.
One and 2. Josh hit 6 home runs against the White Sox last season. Fly ball. Melky Cabrera gives way to Austin Jackson. 1 down. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here's Ivanka Osmak and Brendan Dunlap. Thank you very much. That's coming up right after this ball game. Blue Jays. Bautista drives this one deep to center. Jackson's not going to get this one. It's up against the wall. Bautista with a stand-up double. That'll bring the tying run to the plate.
And don't go anywhere. This is going to be power versus power. Jose's been on base 4 times tonight.
David Robertson, we mentioned Donaldson and how well he has hit against Robertson. But in this matchup, Robertson has the upper hand. Edwin Encarnacion is 1 for 16 against David Robertson. That one hit was a home run. Edwin 2 for 4 so far. Encarnacion with 3 RBIs tonight. Robertson spent a lot of time with Mariano Rivera in New York.
And it
shows.
Up that cutter. And it shows. He's going to try and keep that thing away from you. It looks like a fastball coming in, and then it just moves enough to get it off the bat barrel.
That's a pitch right out of Rivera's book, that inside cutter. Navarro had set up on the inside corner. Ground ball. Bautista retreats. Rollins throws to first. 2 down. So Troy Tulowitzki's had a 2-hit game. He is 2 for 4 tonight. Tulowitzki and Iasonia. I'll be talking about the at-bat in the first inning.
Remember that? Seems like so long ago. Fastball down and away. He's probably telling him, hey, he's going to be throwing me a lot of cutters away. Make sure they're on the plate.
First pitch, fastball upstairs. Tulowitzki has 4 home runs. Oh, 2. Robertson is tied for the saves lead in the American League with Wade Davis of Kansas City and Ryan Matson of the A's. They all have 7. Kenley Jansen of the Dodgers has 9.
Rally hat time.
Now it's 2-2.
Those were a couple of curveballs right there from David Robertson. He's always struck out a lot of batters. He's the only pitcher in Major League history to average at least 10 strikeouts per 9 innings in his first 7 seasons. And you can see why. Hard cutting fastball and a hard, sharp breaking ball curveball.
Blue Jays had a 5-1 lead. It was erased in the top of the 7th when the White Sox scored 5. Robertson calls out Navarro from behind the plate. David Robertson spent 7 years with the Yankees. This is his second season in Chicago. He had 34 saves last year. Remember, the White Sox bullpen has allowed just 1 home run this season.
That's the one he told him. He's going to throw me cutters away. Make sure that they are on the plate.
Michael Saunders homered in the 3rd. Tulowitzki's got to reach to get Saunders to the plate. Ball 4.
Boy, he jumped ahead of him very quickly and then tried to nibble on that outside corner, and Troy Tulowitzki was not going to have anything to do with it. Now Michael Saunders has a chance to do something special.
Saunders did something special in the 3rd in a 2-run home run to dead center. Bautista with a double. He's at second. Tulowitzki walked. He's at first. 2 outs. The Jays are down by 2. Down the left field line, long run for Frazier, and he can't make the play.
That is a long run for Todd Frazier. I didn't think he had a shot at it, and he almost came up with it. He's going to take his time getting back to his position here. You got a left-handed batter at the plate. He's off the line.
Jimmy Rollins out to help Frazier catch his breath. Rollins,
I think he might have
talked to the pitcher.
Jammed his back a little bit when he reached back for that ball. You can see him bending over. He went back full-fledged and then reached to his right for that thing.
Oh, 2 to Saunders. Bouncing ball out home plate. Tulowitzki gets hit by the ball, and the game is over. Tulowitzki, in an effort to get in front of Laurie and maybe distract him, gets hit by the ball, and he is out, and that's the ball game.
Troy's at first base. This was going to be a very interesting play. You can see he slows down to try and block the view of Brett Laurie, and then the arm sticks out there and he gets hit. He gets hit.
Tough loss for the Blue Jays. They had a 5-1 lead, and they saw that go away. Jimmy Rollins with a big night. Chris Sale goes to the mound for the White Sox tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Here's Sportsnet Central, Ivanka and Brendan.